Hello, everyone. Welcome to WD Carousel Podcast. My name's Ian.
And I'm Crystal.
And we're going to talk about a resort, which we haven't done for a little while, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. But first, we should probably talk about our sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so don't mind us. We're weird as always.
We're just weird as always.
But what we're talking about is Jenny from Sea Witch Adventures. She is a wonderful resource for planning your Disney trip, vacation, cruise, whatever. I mean, and it's completely free. And she has a lot of knowledge in regards to it. She's planning my late October trip, which is the one coming up here, and she's been fabulous. So check her out.
Follow Sea Witch Adventures on Instagram at seawitch.adventures to find out more. Yeah. Cool. So, today we are going to be talking about Animal Kingdom Lodge, which is absolutely, I know it's one of my favorite resorts on property, and I think it's up there for you too.
Yes, it is. I would hazard to say, because I haven't stayed at the monorail loop.
Right.
But
Same.
of the resorts that I've had the pleasure of staying at, This is my number one.
Yeah. It's deeply immersive and there's animals. Like, there's animals out back. Like, that's pretty unusual.
It's a unique resort, period, not just for Disney, but in the whole scheme of resorts that you can find throughout the United States, or I don't know. I can't think of another one that would be like, oh, you wake up and there's a giraffe. So it is a very wonderful experience. It is a great resort to just have a resort weekend, one that you don't even have to go to the parks for. Yeah. And it's just really unique. And it's also one of the deluxe ones. So we're staying on the deluxe level right now. Yes. And then we'll head down to moderate and then
find our way around. Yeah. So. Absolutely. So also it's one of the newest resorts.
True.
One of the new, well, except there's like a new round of resorts. But anyway, so before that...
Yeah, we're not talking Riviera. Right. That hasn't opened yet.
Yeah, technically.
For the recording of this podcast.
Right, exactly. So the resort itself is broken into two chunks. There's the Jambo House side, which is the main deluxe resort area, and then Kidani Village is a DVC property, and they are almost linked, but not quite. They like share the Savannah space, but they're two kind of distinct structures with their own kind of slightly different feel.
It's like the main Jambo House has a big horseshoe around the Savannah, and then the Kidani Village, for those who are paying attention via YouTube, where I'm trying with my hands to figure out what's going on.
It's awesome.
There's like
recommended
two little loops, but these are fingers, so I can't do loops, to the side of the Savannah that is the Kidani Village. And when we stayed, we were at this end all the way over here.
We were far away.
As far away as you could be, it felt like.
Yeah, but we still had Savannah View though, right?
We did. We had Savannah View. Remember, I woke up and had not coffee.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. We got up.
Overlooking the
Savannah. Because we got up that day and walked outside, and the glass was fogged up on the sliding glass door.
Yep.
Anyway, that's a memory that's just kind of stuck out to me in that. Anyway,
we'll get into more detail about the rooms later.
Yeah. So Jambo House opened in 2001, so that was the opening of the resort as a whole. And then Kidani Village, which seems to happen a lot with the DVC properties, it opened a little bit later in 2009.
And that one actually had two openings, so one had like 65 rooms that opened at the beginning of 2009, and then everything officially opened in like September of 2009. I don't know where those 65 rooms were, because the property itself, if you look at all of Animal Kingdom Lodge as a whole, is over 1,293 rooms.
Right.
So to have only 65 that were available at the time for renting in Kidani Village, let me preface that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, okay, so did they just open up like the first 10 feet of hallway on both sides?
Right, and they just like leave the rest of it with the magic under construction sort of thing, like just a divider, like,
or just one level and they didn't let you go up to the second level, third level. I don't know. I wasn't there for it.
Yeah. But anyway, so between, and I believe this is between the two parts of the resort, There are 1,293 rooms, and you can tell it's
is
gigantic.
It is definitely a resort where if you can't walk to your room,
You'll notice.
make sure that you ask the concierge or the check-in counter people to get you a closer room if possible, because this is one that is definitely a hike.
Yeah, yeah. And we'll get. I have some stories about that, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah. So.
So exciting.
Yeah. The
Foreshadowing.
Since it's a deluxe resort, it is priced between roughly $560 to $2,750 per night.
Night.
Because
$560 is the minimum.
But it's really cool. Like if you
Gorgeous.
like of all of the resorts that cost that much, it is one of the ones where it's like, oh, I kind of get it. I see why.
I mean, you have animal upkeep and you have, the savanna and the plant life, and it's very secluded, so you don't have a lot of noise outside, noise pollution or
Right.
light pollution or anything
Right.
that you have to worry about there.
Yeah, you're very off on your own to a
Which
certain degree.
is kind of neat.
Yeah.
And then, the Jumbo House, that's the word. I was starting to brain fart.
It's all good.
Is also offering club level, which is not something that you can get at every deluxe. I believe you can get it at one of the others that we spoke about. No, a couple others. So I know it's
Yeah.
available at the Contemporary.
Yeah.
I feel like
Did Grand Floridian have it?
I think they just started it at
Just started
Grand.
it? Okay.
But it's not something that's available at every deluxe resort. I want
Yeah.
you to be aware of that too. What that entails, just so you kind of know, it is an additional cost, but you have access to one private floor, so nobody else can get up there. There are munchies available. There's normally drinks available, and those rotate throughout the day, whether it be, little breakfast items, snack items, lunch items, dinner items. I have seen video where they have the club level where they did dinner, and it actually had like warm items with chefs there that they were,
Okay.
handing out, carving. Alcohol is included in that. Normally it's a couple beers, wine, but you can just sit there and
Hang out.
it's
That's pretty
really
cool.
nice feature.
Yeah, yeah, and it says that there's a couple of perks unique to the
Club
resort,
level.
the club level, and at this resort specifically, because you've got that big savanna out there, you can actually do like special tours out there. Does
But
that?
it's not that actual savannah.
Isn't
They
it?
take you into the park early, and they do the safari, the Kilimanjaro safari,
Oh, before it's
in its own
open.
special car. So you don't only get the
Oh.
10-minute drive, the 10 to 15-minute drive. You get an hour out there.
Oh, cool.
Driving around. They'll stop. They'll give you a lot of details, like
So
10, 15 minutes
so it doesn't-
per location.
It doesn't do like the prescribed route system that the
Exactly.
ride does. It's like its own.
It's not we're trying to avoid poachers. Oh, the
no.
bridge is wobbly.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about any
Yeah,
of that
yeah.
scripting. And it's a really neat feature. Now, those sell out real quick, but it's like, if I saw the pricing for this, now, don't quote me 100%, it was like $35.
Oh wow! So that's only if you're on the club level.
Only club level.
So you're paying quite a bit, but it's basically like a free perk almost.
Almost.
So
I mean,
it's
if you're
like
going to be
30
paying $2,700 a night,
Exactly.
what's another $35?
Yeah, $35 is chump change. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. And and we've talked about this previously a little bit, but the Kilimanjaro Safari ride, that savannah space is the size of the entire Magic Kingdom.
Yes,
Like,
it's
huge, gigantic. So it is kind of interesting that they actually have something like that. I always wondered if they had something like that.
Yeah, I
But-
mean, we'll get into it when we cover the ride in a
Right,
ride review, I'm
right.
sure.
Yes.
But to have the option to be able to go out early with your own special guide,
Yeah,
and then be
yeah.
able to have an over hour long tour,
Yeah.
private tour of that savannah.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah, and then also the other thing we should mention, this might be obvious, but the lodge is actually quite close to Animal Kingdom.
But it's not within walking
It's
distance.
not walking distance, but compared to every other park, it is much
closest.
closer. It is very close. It's like
the closest.
it's like a 3 to 4 minute bus ride, right?
Yes.
It's like it's really really short.
Yeah.
But you still have to get on like that main Disney highway, the main park drive, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
it is a thing for sure. But Yeah, so there's also a really nice selection of food.
It is one of my favorite places for dining for a resort on
Yes.
Disney World property.
Yes.
They have an amazing selection. They have a lot of variety. It's not just something where they have maybe one shining star, but almost every single one of these is phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah. So the signature one, which I was surprised that the one I'm thinking of wasn't when I originally saw that whenever that was ago, is Jico. Mm-hmm. And I don't know a lot about Jico's fare. I'm assuming it's still kind of that African fusion.
It's African.
It's just African.
Yes.
Okay.
They did a prefix menu that I really wanted to go try when the Lion King movie came out, where they had the appetizer was bone marrow.
Oh, that's
and,
right.
Like, I think it was bone marrow and mussels.
Yeah.
And that looked amazing. And then
fun.
they had a steak that was gorgeous. They're well known for their mac and cheese. Even if it's off menu now, you can still order it.
Okay.
So I would still order the mac and cheese. And their desserts are pretty good too. But I have never heard of a bad thing from Jico before.
Right. But it is signature. So if you're on the dining plan, that is going to be 2 sit-down points.
Yes, 2 table service credits.
Yes.
But
sit-down points. Whatever.
Sit-down points.
It's been a long day.
We do this for, frequently.
Yeah.
I would say on average there, a standard entree, you're going to be seeing somewhere between $30 and $45. So just be mentally prepared for that.
Yeah.
And that's not counting your appetizer, your drinks, your desserts, or anything along those lines. They might even go up above 45. I just know that they are not quote unquote affordable.
Right.
And what I mean by the quote unquote is Disney affordable versus,
like,
real world affordable.
Right. And now Jico is in the Jumbo House side.
Correct.
As well as the next one, which is Boma.
And they're actually right across the hall from each other.
Which is cool. And we can talk about this too a little later, but the structure is really cool coming down that way with
so we'll just talk about it now.
Yeah, might as well.
When you enter into Jumbo House, the main entrance is actually on the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
And so you have to go down 2 flights of stairs to get down to the area where they have the food options. And that's what we're talking about. With me, I take the elevator. Because it's my beep beep scooter.
Yep.
But
it's a really it's not just like 2 flights of stairs, like it's this weird winding kind of
that goes through
Victoria Falls Lounge. But we'll get there.
Yeah, it's okay. We can talk about it now. So it's just a basic bar lounge there. It's just really neat for the ambiance.
You get this really wide, tall space, and it's got the
water feature.
Disney signature rock wall with the water feature, and it feels all very wooded and or kind of with foliage, kind of you feel very
and because you're coming down a flight of stairs, it's overlooking the actual Boma restaurant. You feel like it's very secluded, very private, because you don't see the main lobby and all of the chaos that could be going on there.
You just see the restaurant below you. It's very it's kind of like the parts that I like about being 10 stories above a city, where you kind of feel like you're kind of seeing it, but you're not right in it. It's a pretty neat spot. I know we went there once when I was probably in 2012. We went and hung out over there once, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
But when you get down there, then there's Jico, which we talked about, and then Boma, which is the buffet.
Yes, and they do a breakfast buffet and a dinner buffet.
And I've only ever had the breakfast buffet.
But the breakfast buffet is amazing.
Is really, really cool.
And they work really well with allergies,
yeah. Well, with the buffet, the way they handle it is, of course, Disney will always be like, if you want something, we'll just make it special if you want. The way they kind of handle it is they literally point out, they're like, there might be something peanutty over in that corner. So if you don't want to go all in and be like, I want you to make blah 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 for me, just stay away from that corner, because the rest of it we're pretty much saying it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So they do hand you a menu that kind of basically first says you're at a buffet, nothing is guaranteed, and then 2, these are the things that we think would be the safest. So they do a pretty good job of kind of showing all of that for sure. Then they've got the Pog juice, which is
the passion fruit, orange and guava.
Yes, it is. That was the first place I ever had it.
Or do they call it jungle juice there? It doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
I think they call it the house juice. They don't actually have a They
I
just
don't know,
call it like, this
wherever
is
they
our house
operate,
juice.
they have like a different
I
name
know,
for it.
I know. Yeah, it's like it's the same
Pog.
thing. It is awfully good though. It's
Oh,
got
yes.
this very
Delicious.
It's an amazing breakfast juice because it's got that kind of standard like orangey breakfast juice.
The citrusy
vibe,
to wake you up,
but it's also got
slash-
this extra level of something kind of tropical feeling about
Is
it.
that the guava?
Yes. Or is the passion fruit? I have no idea. No idea.
It's just delicious.
Yeah,
Just have it.
exactly. So yeah, and so it's really good, and you do get a mix. I know this is true for the breakfast buffet.
Yep.
They do a good job of mixing something that's more traditional,
Traditional American with traditional African.
So they're usually kind of split up, so you can kind of be like, I want to try this crazy hash thing that looks really good, and also I want a waffle, and you can just do that. Like there's no problem just doing whatever you want there.
And they do the same thing for dinner as well, so you can be as adventurous as you're comfortable there.
Right.
Unlike Jico or Sanaa, which we'll talk about, where there's not a lot of Americanized food there. You can
Right.
definitely find things, but at the buffet, it's the
It's
easiest.
like, but if you're at one of those signature kind of restaurants, I mean, you're not there to have easy American food anyway.
Correct.
That's just my opinion. But
Correct.
whatever. Then there's Uzima Springs, which I don't have. It's just a pool bar.
It's the pool bar.
So, like,
but you
you know.
passed the Mara,
Oh, I did pass the Mara,
which is the quick service.
and I have a story about Mara because that was anyway one of my stories. We stayed at Jumbo House in 2012 for like a week, and which was cool. That was the longest I'd ever stayed at Disney, and it was amazing. But we were like super far away from the Mara. we were like, like
With
how
your
it is.
refillable mugs,
Yeah,
you
with
know,
the
it makes it
refillable
super
mugs.
convenient.
Exactly. So we were like, I'm gonna go refill the mug, and everyone's like, all right, let's do our Death March tomorrow. We just like shuffle our way over because it takes forever. But it was cool because it was just open, and you could walk in and it's like, I'm hungry. We'll get a snack. You probably have a snack credit. Oh, I do. Yeah. Boop. Do the thing. Actually, at the time, it was a card.
Card,
But
yeah.
yeah, it was. I did like the Mara. I just have kind of like a good memory about it. And also, it looks out. It has doors opening out into the pool area. So it's situated in a way that I really like. It's not like a lot of other quick service resort places that are always like feel very packed and crazy. This is very like kind of down in the pool area, down a little bit, and so obviously it's a quick service, so there's plenty of people in there, but it just doesn't feel as insane.
And it's also one of the better quick services too, as far as options go. The flatbreads are really delicious, and they offer the zebra domes, which would kill you.
They
but
would, yeah.
They are well known for their zebra domes all over the place. So if you are not deathly allergic to peanuts, try them out.
Yeah. You'll just have to tell me how it was. Just comment below what you think. Anyway,
They were delicious, Ian. Let me
Thank
just
you.
rub it in your face.
please don't rub it in my face. I might still get a reaction.
I was talking about
I know. It
you
was.
had to ruin my joke.
I know. It was
With your
fun.
own joke.
Sorry. And of course,
Our favorite.
yeah, Sanaa, which is. Is it the only restaurant in Kidani Village?
It is the only restaurant in Kidani Village. And in fact, we found out last trip that we were there because we were like, well, we're leaving in the morning, but we don't want to have to figure out how to get to Jumbo House for a breakfast to use the quick service at the Mara.
Right.
What do? They actually turned Sanaa in the morning into
Yes.
a grab and go.
That's right. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a surprise that I was not expecting.
It was like a Insta quick service pop-up.
Yeah, they just kind of like throw it up there like it's like a little catering thing almost, and then you just sit down and
Yeah, you can
have
either
whatever.
have a grab and go, or they had like these like prefix menus, and you could say I want option 1 or option 2.
Oh, yeah, and they just, like, you just
and
grab
then
it.
you go sit down. And one of the beautiful things about Sanaa is it's literally overlooking the savannah.
Yeah.
So you can have an animal right next to you
Yeah.
while you are eating your food, and that is not something that you can get at any of the other dining options at this resort. But since it was dead in the morning, and it's really only used by the DVC people in the Kidani Village, which
Right.
DVC rooms have either a kitchenette or a full-size kitchen, so not a lot of people are there.
not that busy.
It was so easy to
Oh, it
get
was-
a chair right next to the window, and
Yeah.
it was
Oh,
a
absolutely.
beautiful way to end it.
It was absolutely a weird perk that I wasn't expecting from it, and if you are in a situation where you could use it, we definitely recommend it. Also, just Sanaa in general is
Yes.
one of my absolute favorite restaurants at Disney World.
I don't think
like
we've
the
had
entire
Bad food there.
I don't think it's possible. Like, I don't think there's a single thing there that would be bad. Like, and we've talked about this at length before in
Yes.
one of our trip reviews and stuff, but there's really an element of that mix of kind of Indian and African together create this. It's just absolutely one
It's
of
a
the
unique
places.
flavor palette.
It really is.
That you do have to be adventurous with this one. I know that they offer a burger option, but the burger option is very Africanized too.
Okay.
So it's not just going to be a standard beef patty and then ketchup and mustard and pickle and
Right.
lettuce and then you're done.
Right.
It actually has things like goat cheese on there and special herbs and spices in the meat and
Right.
so when you're making decisions, just be aware of that, but I've
Yeah.
never had bad food there.
Yeah, it's really good. And I mean, obviously, I think we'll say this again every time we talk about Sanaa. Get the bread service.
Bread service.
Always good.
Yum, yum, yum. And I found out they're able to do a gluten-free naan option for the bread
Really?
service. They're
Ooh.
kind of, not as impressive and mostly just a place to cart the toppings
and that's
to your
kind
face.
of the thing, really. I mean, obviously, good naan helps a lot, but the big thing about the bread service is that collection of dipping sauces is absolutely unreal. And something you may have noticed that we didn't mention is character dining, because there isn't any.
This is the first of the deluxe resorts that we're talking about that does not offer it, because Grand Floridian has
Yep.
1800 Park Fair, the Polynesian has Ohana, Contemporary has Chef Mickey, even Wilderness Lodge has Artist Point. So
Yeah.
this is the first one where there are no characters. And I wonder if it's intentional, because there's not a lot of
Disney.
human characters in the
Absolutely. Yeah.
movies that they're taking inspiration from.
Right. I definitely. Yeah, one of the things I really actually kind of enjoy about Animal Kingdom Lodge is its sort of lack of over Disneyfication. It's like, I mean,
you'll still end up with your Mickey
Right,
waffle
absolutely.
and your Simba waffle.
And I kind of like parts, and this is my own personal take on how I like to enjoy Disney World, is I like getting really immersed in a moment and going like, oh right, we're at Disney. And this is one of those places where it absolutely feels that way, where you can be totally in a different dimension and then be like, oh, there's a Mickey waffle. Anyway, so that's a thing.
Now, we've talked about walking distance a little bit before when we were talking about Animal Kingdom, but just so you're aware, if you decide to walk between the buildings, you're still going to take about 5 to 10 minutes.
Yes, we
To
learned that
get
the
from
hard way.
Kidani to
Yes.
Jambo.
Yes.
It takes a bit. Now,
does.
you can choose buses back and forth between them, but there's not like an official bus that goes back and forth. The way to do it is kind of be sneaky. So if you're going from Jambo House and want to get to Kidani, take the Disney Springs bus, because that stops at Jambo first and then goes to Kidani.
Awesome.
Versus if you want to go from Kidani to Jambo House, you can take any of the other park buses, theme park buses, because it stops at Kidani first and then goes to Jambo. So if you don't want to walk, hop on one of those buses. You'll be able to get to the next resort.
Transit hacks. It's one of the favorite things that we do here is transit hacks. Yeah, and so Zwadi Marketplace is just like, is that in Jambo?
That's in Jambo.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like one of the standard gift shop areas, but it's kind of got additional
Yeah, it
stuff.
has a couple extra perks in there.
Yeah. Some artwork and
Yeah, they
stuff.
do original artwork. They have African-inspired instruments, so there are a lot of unique things there, too. They even have some resort-specific merch, too, which they're getting rid of in other resorts. So
Oh.
if you're interested, check that out.
Very cool.
Too.
Very cool. Big pool.
Big pool at Jambo House.
Sweet.
It is huge. It is like 11,000 square feet, and it's a zero entry pool, but it's nothing to write home about. It's just one big blob, and it has a small little slide.
Yay! Woo! And there's a spa, because why wouldn't there be a spa? It's a deluxe resort, just expect it.
Yep, and because it's a deluxe resort, since we're talking about stay and stuff, remember when they added pricing to parking and parking there at the resort? Expect to pay at least $25 a night just to have your car at the resort with you.
Womp.
I mean, if you're spending $500 plus a night already,
Yeah.
what's another $25?
Exactly. So this, since it's, like we said, it was a little bit newer, Joe Rohde, who is absolutely one of my favorite Imagineers.
Joe Rohde!
Because he is one of those one of those Imagineers who loves to go like that extra level where you're like totally pulled away. Anyway, so he and Eisner kind of worked on on
Eisner
developing
got
this
the
one.
ball rolling, but when it came to the lodge, Joe Rodier definitely did almost everything for it. He was main concept and all of that fun stuff. So everything you look and see in there, I mean, you get the Rhodey feel. You can tell it was inspired by his creativity and his imagination.
Yeah. Design-wise, they tried to go for that kind of not like longhouse like the Polynesian village, but kind of lodge-ish, this big thatched.
They really tried to work with the aesthetic of Africa. Now, obviously, they had to do certain things to be within code and guidelines, but, you know, you pull up and it still has a huge thatch roof.
Yeah. It's shocking that it looks pretty convincing. I know it's like not, but it's pretty convincing.
Well, I mean, they fabricated it. They fabricated this faux thatching.
Yeah.
To be able to withstand fire and everything.
All the stuff.
But it's actual thatching.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Huge windows to overlook the savannah, obviously.
Especially on the Jumbo House side.
Yeah, I mean, when you walk into the lodge, the first thing that you do is you come in the little alcove doorway, and then it just opens up.
Yeah.
And it's this huge window overlooking the savannah, and it's gorgeous.
One of our, because we went with some friends, and they purposefully didn't want to see any photos of anything that we had planned. So they didn't know what the hotel looked like before we got there.
That's neat.
Yeah, and so they're like, yeah, we just don't want to see it. We don't want to see anything with it. And so we all walk in together and walk into the lobby, and they all just like
Jaw
jaws
drops?
hit the floor. It was pretty funny because it really is one of those deals where it's like, this is spectacular, and not in a way that's just, you know, grand like the, you know, Grand Floridian or Contemporary where it's that very modern look. This is like has a very unique style unto itself that just has a very specific feeling that is really hard to describe. But yeah, the furniture is really cool.
Yeah, the furniture is handmade Zimbabwe furniture. They had a specific name for like the headboard, but I forgot what it is.
Yeah.
The architecture is Zulu inspired, and really a lot of different areas of Africa are represented in this resort in a lot of unique ways. Like they have a mask that is in the main entryway that's like 16 feet tall.
Yep.
And it's by... Who's that by?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
I don't either.
Oh, Nigerian.
Nigerian
So
mask. Okay.
They have influences from all these different countries.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Africa's a huge continent, even though we think of it as Africa.
Right. They went for try to go for a Pan-African experience, which is tough, but they tried to find elements in every part of Africa, kind of. It's interesting for sure. They do a lot of little architectural things. They have like each balcony outside of the like the savannah view, or I guess everyone has a balcony. They're just facing different directions, but all the balconies have a different color, and this allows for it makes the hotel feel kind of smaller, makes it feel more.
I thought those were the interior. I don't know. I'm not in charge.
I think it's the exterior. Anyway.
You'll have to check it out when you're down there.
Take a look, for sure. But
but this hotel obviously focuses a lot on conservation, energy conservation, food conservation, and a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah.
You'll find that this is a little bit more of a darker feeling hotel, just because
not metaphorically, it's like literally darker.
They're making sure that they don't have a lot of light pollution, especially with the animals out on the savannah. You'll even find that inside of the resort as well, where they have, instead of bright lights everywhere, they'll have like a spotlight on like the name Boma or on this one art piece or something like that. So it's intentional light, not just
floodlight. Yeah. And like all the little paths just have little ways just so you can see where you're walking, but there's no light up in them, which really does create a really, really neat kind of feel. So
there's a really unique storyline that
which
they
is
decided to go with.
Because they don't always do that, but you know, why not, right?
Well, I mean, it's Joe Rody. I mean, it's going to happen. So it's basically Jumbo House specifically, when they were coming up with the idea of creating this Animal Kingdom Lodge, Joe Rohde sat down and he's like, okay, so here's the idea. We have a great big encampment that this Swahili king left to his son. And then the son continued to develop it. And the family is important. And we're going to have on this rock over here so it's easy to defend. Also, there's a spring over here.
All right.
That way. and that's pretty much what it is. So
yeah.
The rock overlook that you see is why you come in on the 3rd level, and then you have that rock overlook through Victoria's Lounge down, and then there's this small water feature when you leave main Jumbo House, go out to the pool area to get to the Mara. It runs right next to Boma, the glass wall there.
Yep.
So that's their little spring and stuff. Cute. But I just thought it was hilarious how they're like, so it's a great encampment. And then there's this rock thing, so that way they can easily defend themselves. And then there's this, and there's this, and it's just like, oh, okay.
It's not Pride Rock. I'm just saying.
Well, they don't have like a
well, yeah, because they're trying to go for a more, low-key Disney vibe. I don't know. It's still pretty grand, if we're honest. It's pretty over the top.
True.
But there's a lot of things you can do. We've talked about stuff you can do already, but that medallion rubbing, I don't know a lot about that.
So what that is that's the big, when you come into Jumbo House, there's this big metal medallion on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And they actually will have people there that you can, will help you lay down a piece of paper and a crayon. So you can do rubbings of all the different animals in that medallion.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a thing. I'm not going to get on the floor for
I'm
it.
not either. But that's cool, though. Very cool. And they do pastry decorating of all types. You can decorate cookies at Boma in the Jumbo House, and you can decorate cake at Sanaa in Kidani Village.
Little cakes.
Little
cakes.
There's
also some culinary tours, which are really neat for Jinko, Boma, and Sanaa. So you can check out your guide time for times, and they might even let you have little samples of stuff. Those are completely free, which is really a neat feature.
That is neat.
Just need to show up at that time.
Cool. Face painting, obligatory.
They also have beaded activities, which are really interesting around both Jumbo and Kidani. And what those are you go to an event like they have a flamingo pond, and then you learn about the flamingos. And then for you participating, they give you a little bead. And then you go through all of these little beaded activities. At the end, you have a little necklace if you do them all.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, it's really neat to be able to learn some more stuff, conservation, all of that, and have a little free souvenir.
That's very cool. We already talked about the Savannah. You can go out and do the VIP tours if you are on
those
the
are
club
additional.
level.
Those are additional VIP tours of the Savannah, not just the club level tours of the Savannahs. And then there's even like Savannah viewing at dark where it's free, but they'll bring out these like night vision binoculars.
Sweet.
So you can look at all the animals out there. It's not rare for you to hear African drums playing, and they pull out the djembes, and they're just playing in the I know what a djembe is in the lobby, and encourage you to play along. And
yeah. I think that's there's a lot, like all these. There's a lot of stuff, but it is absolutely one of my absolute favorite resorts. So anyway,
in the rooms, if you go, I would expect, or I would have you anticipate that there's going to be the standard layout for a room. So either 2 queens or a king, or like what we ended up happening, which was 1 queen and then a pull-out sofa. Our room that we had a little kitchenette, so it had the fridge, it had a toaster, a coffee maker, plates, cups, a sink with some soap and stuff. So that worked out really well, and that's the place where I couldn't make coffee.
Yeah,
I tried to make coffee.
I blame the machine for that one.
I blame the machine as well. But it's beautiful. I mean, I cannot stress enough that this is just a resort to go and enjoy. This is not going to be one of those resorts where you just happen to sleep there overnight and then you take off early in the morning.
Right.
You need to be able to spend the time to appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's exactly it. You need to spend the time to appreciate this one, because there's there's a lot of environment and feeling in there that they don't all have, which is kind of cool.
And this is one where I saved a snake.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was there with my mother. Just quick story. I was there with my mother, and we'd been walking around because we weren't actually staying there, but we came to visit. And all of a sudden, this snake went running away, and everybody's like, "Go get the blah 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 blah. Go get a cast member." My mom's like, "She works for the Herpetological Society. She can take care of it." It was just, it's a funny memory, and I love it. But
that's cool.
Anyways, you're gonna see wildlife of all sorts there.
Yeah, very cool. Alrighty.
On that note,
yes,
check it out if you are interested. If you want to go and not spend the money, you could try renting DVC points. That's what we ended up doing. Mm-hmm. It made it quite a bit more affordable.
Yeah.
And so it's an option for you to check it out as well. But this is one that you can go to without having to stay there and do a lot of the things and see the savannah and everything.
Absolutely.
So just enjoy it, love it, appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And this has been WD Carousel of Podcast. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And we hope you have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.